Whatever happened to China's social credit system? Been living in China for years. The social credit score was proposed, but it was shot down by people very quickly after that. No one talked about it. Totally just going off my experience on Reddit, but there was a thread like this asking a similar question, and a guy replied who claimed he was living in China with his Chinese national GF. He said most Chinese haven't even heard of it, let alone had it impact their life if it even did go into effect. Again, I read that in a Reddit post. Not sure if it actually exists or not, but that's what I've read on it. It ended being arbitrary. Central government gave a general idea of what the credit score is supposed to achieve, but they let each province decide ways to achieve that. So it ended up with each province having a wildly different standards on how each citizen gets the score and how they deduct them. Polymatter did a great video on YouTube a while back. It was all pretty much overblown by Western media, and most people in China have never heard of it. The social credit system exists. You don't hear about it because it was largely a nothing burger. It helped punish people who borrowed money and didn't pay it back, and people that honked excessively, but that is pretty much it. Way less serious than something like a credit score. It's just a meme tbh. It's still sort of a thing, but the standards are very vague and vary quite a bit depending on which province of China we're talking about. Overall, if you miss mortgage payment, loan payment, credit card payment, you're then get on a list and you're limited from getting more loans. You can't take high-speed rail and flights, and can't spend above a certain amount in a given period of time. Joe Rogan uses it at his comedy club in Austin, Texas. They take pictures of everyone's faces and keep tabs on who heckles comedians or interrupts comedy shows. I've worked on that topic for 2 years to describe it shortly. The plans to introduce it were and still are announced centrally, because of the ideals that the project has to cover. However, the practical implementation is up to local governments in China. It's also not mandatory. It differs depending on the city, as the document that covers the fundamentals of the system focuses on the idea of giving privileges to people that are good, which is mostly related to not committing crimes and doing some extra voluntary work for the society. But it does not describe in what way it should be done. It does not even mention the points system. In general, besides one specific version, these systems are focused on giving points. If you lose points, you lose the benefits of the system, but nothing more than that. The benefits are also not connected to your daily life needs. They're e.g. renting public bikes for free or covering the cost of hospitality stay up to certain amount, rongcheng, or giving you higher position when applying to public sector jobs, suzhou. There are also private versions of the system. Alibaba, Tencent use them. As for now, the system itself doesn't change much. Privacy issues, data leaks, limiting free will up to some point, because citizens that sign up for the system have to follow specific way in order to get benefits. Still, it's voluntary. Social rejection in some cases. On a very small scale, if we look at China's population, lack of transparency and possibility of human error when making decisions are definitely issues that should be considered. However, all of them are way less dangerous from Chinese perspective than we see them. There is also a system of black lists. The opposite would be red lists. That is connected to the same idea, which is basically a list of people that are noted for committing crimes, although most of them come from the list of people that have debts to pay. 400 social credits for posting this. It's funny how big that blew up in Western media. But no one stopped to think that our concepts of credit scores was just as outlandish. For real, I don't think any other country has that in their society. Western media stopped talking about it. I assume it still exists. I think it was bigger news in US fodder than it was in China. My Chinese friends didn't even hear of it before, but my American friends have. Lol. It is no different than the credit score in the US. The truth is a lot more boring than the hype. It's still there but not highlighted as social credit. I read a famous cafe owner from Hong Kong rags to riches story has an immediate downfall after a mess up with local gov. Her business hit by COVID. She can't even allowed to travel by flight, train, unable RO book ticket, etc. So definitely it's there but no official name. China has several system. 1. A national credit system for company, basically tracking their contract. 2. Some city-wide social system. Use city welfare to encourage some volunteer works, or reduce some bad behaviors. 3. A financial blacklist system which restrict high consumption to punish all bankruptcy guys or other who don't pay the bill. For example, you can't take business class flight or high-level train if you combine all bold. A national credit system which if you do some bad behaviors, you are not allowed to take flight and train. Never was real. People just repeat what they see on Reddit like good little sheeple. It's funny how Americans think it's dystopian that a personal score would decrease if you honk too much, but think it's normal that if you don't take a ton of loans just to get a score up, you will not own a house. America likely has something like this for every US citizen. I wouldn't be surprised if most modern had it in some form. A record that indicates how likely you are to be a terrorist or something.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.